I think we have a decent number of attendees now. I think we would like to get started on this webinar session. So again, thank you all for joining in on this In the Loop webinar session. This marks our 6th session in this series. My name is Hayato Nishi. I'll be your host today. I've been with Shima Seiki USA for a little over 7 years now, currently serving the PR manager at our Brooklyn office. For those that are returning, thank you so much for joining us again. And for those that are new, I'd like to just share a little bit about what In the Loop is about. So In the Loop is our Shima Seiki USA's webinar series that we started post-COVID to just really keep in touch with our customers. We generally cover updates and announcements, sample showcases, and customer stories. And today, it will be kind of a combination of a sample showcase as well as customer story, because we will be focusing on collaborative development that we had with our partners. Just a few call outs to notify at the beginning of the session. Please just make sure that your Wi-Fi connection is stable. That ensures a smooth delivery for us. And please keep in mind that this is a live session. So if we do come across any interruptions or disturbances, I do apologize in advance, and we will try to figure out ways to get this message to you alternatively. Lastly, we do have the Q&A section open, and as well as the chat section open. We will try to get to them at the end of the session. And lastly, we do have a survey that will pop up at the end of the session. Please feel free to let us know how the webinar went. If you have any feedback, if you have any direct questions, you can feel free to reach out to us on that survey there. Yeah, and without further ado, I'd like to just get started on the topic of discussion for today. So today we will be showcasing whole garment pieces from the Seed of Joy capsule collection using TENCEL modal with Indigo technology. We do have some guest speakers that are on, and they'll be speaking later in the session. So please be sure to stay tuned and stick around for their speaking sessions. But before we get into that, I'd like to just briefly start off this webinar with introduction video created by Lensing that showcases this Seed of Joy capsule collection.
I'm Adriano Goldschmied. Today I live in Los Angeles since 20 years. Originally, I'm Italian, where I learn creativity. In America, I learn how to bring creativity to the market. All the bad things that they are today around, we invented in the 80s. It was a period of time that, from the ecological point of view, was a disaster. In terms that the stonewash, the PP, all the toxic processes, they are coming from that period of time. So I started to realize early 90s sustainability and all the eco problem, and that's the reason why I was so excited about TENCEL. I can divide my period of time in probably 2 different times. The 90s, when I did small things in that direction, like for instance using TENCEL but washing in the wrong way. So basically the result was probably 0. In the 2010 was when I was already an activist and a fighter with honestly a clear vision that the action's supposed to start from the beginning. That means agriculture, the way that we grow fibers. And that is the time that I had the vision of the complete change, going from the fibers to the creation of the indigo, to how we dye the indigo, how we manufacture and how we produce and how we distribute. So sustainability today is a very complex subject. I remember I was super excited because I already mentally was ready to fight for a better process. And that's why I was so excited to use a fiber that was clearly an amazing improvement in this direction. For sure, TENCEL and Lenzing is bringing a clear vision of what the future has to be. That is zero emissions, circularity, introduce fiber where we have a complete control and traceability. I was very, very excited to go to Lenzing. First of all, I have to say, beautiful place. And in some way, to find such a big factory in that place is totally unexpected. When you see Lenzing, is everything happening in the same place. So the concatenation of the whole process, honestly, is amazing. TENCEL modal with Indigo is, I think, in our industry, is going to be a milestone, because we get a shortcut that is incredible. Basically, we skip the rope dyeing that until now is, we think, is there to stay, but is not there to stay, because consider just one thing. A rope dyeing is taking minimum 20,000 liters of water, plus chemicals, energy, CO2 emissions. So is honestly is a gigantic thing. The TENCEL modal Indigo shows that there is another way, that is to dye, and this one is so incredible beneficial in terms of sustainability, and also as a process, not only because the sustainable aspect that anyhow is very, very important from our point of view, but also because the TENCEL modal Indigo is creating a product that has a different crocking than regular rope dyeing. Crocking is very low, very, very low compared to the traditional. This one is opening the possibility of using Indigo modal in different areas. Honestly, I like to see that one day, learning from Lenzing, we're going to be able to dye cotton in the same way and change the industry in better. The name is Seed of Joy. The joy is about the fact that we have more freedom. The joy is that we make a product that is much more sustainable. And the joy is also that we can create in a different way, in terms that Indigo modal is giving the possibility to different kind of garments, that is not only the 5-pocket jeans. And also we have the advantage of the hand feeling and the comfort. This collection is also about going back to fashion. Fashion business is extremely important because I think the consumer is for sure motivated from the sustainability and the fact that they know that they're buying a better product, but also they have to go back to emotion that fashion is giving. That's why we have new fits. We have unexpected things in the collection. That means, for instance, we have a very important product for me that are the sweaters, because the characteristic of the fiber is opening the future. And this one is the most important thing at the end of TENCEL modal Indigo, that is open up more categories, more product, and more fashion that I think people is looking for today. Our era today is about giving the people more freedom, more comfort, and nothing is better than this fiber. First of all, we've been applying a criteria that is in general inspiring my work. That is about working together with people, with different factories, with different organizations, and putting them together. And everybody is giving a contribution to create a project or create a new product. The first collaborator, when we heard about this development, we was very excited. After this, I've been using the fiber and developing the fiber into fabrics at Blue Diamond for the denim, and we're in the loop where we've been developing the knits. We've been able to collaborate with an amazing company that is Shima Seiki. They produce incredible, efficient looms machines to make sweaters, but they have a great service in terms of assistance, and they love the idea to bring the TENCEL modal Indigo into a new category. And so because the fact that the fiber has a very low crocking, we feel very confident to bring it into a product that requires different physical characteristics than the jean. The jean is much more flexible from that point of view, but the tops in general, and in particular sweaters, are requiring to be wearable without creating any kind of damage. So the crocking is a very important result that we got with the fiber. Then we have also the TENCEL yarn, and this one is also a very strong improvement with respect to the past. Then in the finishing, we've been collaborating with one of the major players in the industry, that is Tonello. Tonello is not only masters in producing machines, but the good thing of Tonello is that they developing processes, they giving assistance to the customer. Like in our case, we have to understand that TENCEL Modal Indigo is a new product. It's dyed in indigo in a different way and requires a certain experience and research in terms to get the better results. And also, obviously, our team in Los Angeles that is putting an amazing passion and dedication to the project, but also all the people that they are working in Los Angeles to help us in developing the patterns, the pattern makers, the sewers, all people that are part of the LA industry, and they have an amazing experience, and they contribute to make Seed of Joy a great product that has to find a location, a place in our industry. One important collaboration was in changing the yarn thread from the traditional that normally is a cotton polyester that is not degradable. And we changed in collaboration with Craftsville to 100% TENCEL sewing thread that has physical characteristics that they are higher. And very important thing is part of our project that every product that we make has to be 100% recyclable. TENCEL Modal Indigo, we have to give credit to Lansing. Lansing is opened the way to the industry for a big change.
All right. Well, thank you for sticking around and seeing this video. Now that you have a general understanding of this collection, I'd like to take this time to introduce our speakers for today. First off, we have Mr. Adriano Goldschmied. He is known as the godfather of denim, as well as the Indigo ambassador. He's the founder of House of Gold, which takes on Blue Diamond for denim developments, In the Loop for knit developments, and he's pretty much a one-stop shop for all your denim needs. So we're pleased to have Adriano on board with us today. And we also have Tricia Carey. She is an advocate of innovation and sustainability in the textile apparel industries. And she currently serves as the Director of Business Development for Lensing. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks, Hayato. Thanks for organizing all of this.
No, thank you. Thank you both for taking time out of your busy day to join this. And yes. First off, I'd like to just kind of open up the floor to Adriano Goldschmied and ask you a question. How did this collection really just start, and how did this project come together?
Let's say what we do every day basically is to try to study and think about how to make our products more sustainable. And this one is for sure our main mission. We strongly believe that today is not only about making a good looking product, but has to be a strong contribution to make it better. And I'm also, as you said, I feel like my mission is to be an Indigo lover and an Indigo ambassador. And so my mission is also at that point to try to bring the Indigo idea and the Indigo concept to categories that in some way they never been touched before. Sometimes most of the time because technical reason, but sometimes also because two words are very different from one from the other, and we have nothing, they don't have really a common area to play with. And the occasion came because we share with Lensing the idea of a strong sustainable research. And the idea of dyeing in indigo the fiber is honestly phenomenal. Phenomenal because you saw a picture of the indigo rope dyeing that is an extremely complex process and is taking a lot of chemicals, water. And so to skip that process, honestly, is a milestone in our industry. And we started because my main area of research is obviously denim. We started with making jeans. But making jeans, we realized very soon that the indigo modal dyed in fiber has a characteristic that is different from the traditional. That is that the crocking goes down very quickly, is very low. And so immediately I found, wow, finally we can make sweaters. I don't know so much about sweaters, honestly. And so came out that we came together with Shima. Shima has an incredible technology, not only, but together with the technology, they also have the attitude to be available to develop product, make research, and work together. This project, Seed of Joy, in some way is a demonstration how working together can be extremely productive. Honestly, I couldn't do it by myself because there are some areas that are out of my knowledge. And so putting together Shima, and obviously the tremendous power of Lenzig in developing the fiber, and putting together my knowledge and expertise in the wash. That is something that in the sweater is not known. It's a new territory. You're gonna see later when we show some other slides, this one, we realize that we open an area that has never been touched before, because we have also a tremendous advantage because the Shima machine is a 3D machine. Basically, is creating a product that is three-dimensional. We normally used to work in 2 dimensions, you know, that today is a limitation. So what I'm saying is that when we bring the technology of washing into a 3D product, the result is incredible. Look at this, for instance. You see how the color is changing according, let's say, the 3D surface of the sweaters. And so we can operate with many different points, you know, and basically is opening an area that has never been touched before. And so I think the collaboration between Shima, Lenzig, we've been working with Tonello, that was an incredible partner to develop the washes, is a demonstration how when we go to new projects, we have to put together our technology, and we don't have to be jealous about what we know, because we know something, but we also learn a lot. And so at the end, the result for everybody is positive. The other thing that I have to mention, this project was done during the COVID era. So honestly, everything was done remotely. Everything was done in Zoom calls. It was not been easy because all our generation is coming about the fact that we need to touch the things, to have the hand feeling. But I have to say, we've been showing also that the new method of work is a lot about communication, be remote, and try also to save a lot of money, because product development can be done properly in a lot of parts can be remotely. And so this one is also faster and for sure more efficient. I have to say also that why I love Shima. I love Shima not only because they've been available, but they are part of our vision, because basically Shima is no waste. Basically, the garment is done on the machine, and basically out of the machine is finished. And it's very different from what we do in the regular denim production, where we waste 15% of the fabric. So one of the reasons that for us was very important is that this concept fits perfectly on the idea of saving waste and to be extremely efficient. So I have to say, Seed of Joy was at the end, the idea of putting together all those experiences, but also not to be only technical, because I think at the end, the consumer needs, when they buy something, they need to have an emotion, they need to have fashion, but they need to buy a good fashion. And that is a direction that altogether we've been taking. So I really like to thanks everybody for this opportunity. Also because I think that we show also to other people that working together is bringing the results.
Yes, well, thank you so much. It's been quite a while. I think we first had our meeting at Kingpins in 2018. So this development has been under development for quite some time, but
Long process.
yes, I'm glad we're a part of this, and glad to be a part of this collaboration. And thank you so much again for joining us today. And then otherwise, I think I would like to go ahead and get the screen share back on again. Hold on, I'm just.
And it was great during that time that Adriano was also able to visit your innovation center too, Hayato. So, I think seeing how the equipment works in person, that adds so much to the development.
Definitely. We're actually Adriano's new office in LA is right down the hall from our LA offices. So if any of you guys are in the greater LA area, definitely would love to see you guys at the LA facilities in person sometime. Once everything recovers, and yeah.
But you have an amazing development center in New Jersey.
Yes.
We had a lot of fun in there.
Yes.
It was a pleasure to work and understand things that we don't know, and it's very inspiring because, goes one step after the other. And from one thing, we develop another one. And so honestly, one thing that is important to say is that the fiber itself is something that we didn't discover completely the potential and the things that we can do with the Indigo model. And we just started. Seed of Joy was, let's say, the start of the process. But for instance, you're going to see a video about lasering a sweater. And this one is opening up a new segment for this business because it's never done before. You can create, let's say, a flat surface and create, imagine a print with a process that has never been used before in this segment. So it's opening, honestly, possibilities for new products and new business.
Yes. Definitely, there's potential applications. You're only seeing everything in apparel for now, but who knows? Home goods, there's so many potential applications down the line. But before we get into like apparel and garments and things like that, I'd like to just kind of pass the ball on to Tricia to just explain a little bit more about the fibers itself, and just tell us the story about how much sustainable this new yarn is.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Hayato. And Adriano had mentioned it, it's how we collaborate together in order to have an overall lower footprint, how we can reduce the impact on the environment. And if we look at how indigo yarns are traditionally dyed, because indigo is applied typically for denim, it's applied at the yarn stage, not at a fiber stage. And there's a range of process and chemistry that yarn has to go through. And this picture here shows you repeatedly it has to be dipped and have multiple baths. This takes a lot of time, energy, water, chemicals, all of that. So when we come up with new innovations at Lensing, we're always looking at how we can be more efficient and ultimately how we can reduce the impact on the environment. So we'll go to the next slide. And that's where we started with TENCEL model with Indigo color technology, which we call Future Indigo, because this is how we see that in the future, it is about how we can reduce the impact on the environment, how we can collaborate more and come up with new products that go into other markets, like Adriano mentioned. So this is the first time that a fiber has indigo pigment incorporated into the production process. So we're able to combine two processes into one. Next slide. So how we do this, you'll see on the picture here, is we're actually able to add the indigo pigment into the spinning process of making the fiber. We're starting with wood. That's our resource in order to make modal. The brand name for modal is actually TENCEL, so just want to clarify that. The wood we have is then made into a pulp. We primarily use beech trees for this particular product. Then what we do is to that pulp, we add a solvent. Into the solvent, we add indigo pigment. We do have the solvent, we do have some recovery of the processed chemicals. This is all produced at our headquarters in Austria. Adriano has visited our headquarters, and as he mentioned in the video, it's a pretty incredible place in the middle of the countryside to have this large production facility. It is integrated at our headquarters where we make the pulp and the fiber in the same production facility. So all of our TENCEL modal with indigo color technology is coming from Austria, and then we ship it around the world to spinners to make into knit products as well as into denim and wovens. You can go to the next slide just to show you a comparison then between how indigo is typically applied at the yarn stage, which you see at the bottom. You have fibers, you spin it into yarn, then you have to go into warping, the indigo dyeing, sizing. It goes through a whole process to weaving, garment. What we've done is by combining those processes at the fiber production stage, then we can eliminate now in woven products, your yarn to warping, sizing, but with the whole garment, you're able to eliminate even more processes in the production as you can combine. So going from dyed fiber, yarn, right into garment stage with the whole garment. Next slide. And overall, I think what impressed us the most in this innovation is the resource savings. I try to stay away from the word sustainability and define it even further by saying it's resource savings. In here, it's 99% water savings because we're able to combine the indigo dyeing as well as the fiber production. 80% savings in chemicals over traditional indigo dyed yarns. 99% electricity, 99% wastewater, and 100% heat energy. So with these savings already, you're starting off with an incredible product that will lower the impact for the environment. And from that lower impact, we also have the safety aspect. Very critical to Lensing is always around safety, not only in our production facilities, but to also have safe products. And here we have the OEKO-TEX Class 1 baby certification for this fiber. And in the denim industry, there's a lot of debate over aniline that can be in indigo, which is naturally forming as a part of indigo. With our TENCEL modal with indigo color technology, we have ultra low levels of aniline, which allow us to have the OEKO-TEX Class 1 baby certification, meaning that it's a fiber that's safe for any baby products next to skin. And this is different than typical indigo yarn dyes. Next slide.
I think
that's it from my side. That's how we make the fiber. And again, what you have with TENCEL modal with indigo color technology is the resource savings. We have the safety of the product. We also have low crocking. So Adriano had mentioned, a bit about the crocking side. And so, I usually do my official croc test here. And so that allows us to get into other market categories where indigo contamination can be quite a challenge. And I think, Hayato, you also noticed this when you were doing the samples, is that the machines weren't contaminated with a lot of indigo. That makes it more efficient that you don't have to have downtime for the machines and cleaning of the machines. And as you'll see, one of the other benefits of TENCEL model with indigo color technology is that you actually can create real wash effects. And we'll go into that a little further.
Yes. So yeah, as Tricia had mentioned, when we heard about this yarn, this was a new game changer for this flatbed knitting industry, just because a lot of knitters have strayed away from indigo yarns. As she mentioned, it stains the machines. And so once we heard about this, we definitely wanted to test it and work with it. And so with the yarn and fibers sustainable story, if we can make it sustainably in the knitting process, we thought it would be a great story. And so we decided to consider whole garments for this development. And for those that aren't familiar with whole garment technology, I'd like to just start off with an introductory video showcasing this. So please stick around.
20 years ago, a revolution was begun. The world's first whole garment knitting machine succeeded in producing a garment in its entirety, completely without seams. What took hours, even days of production, by so many workers, could now be produced in a matter of minutes on one machine. But the technology was ahead of its time, and the world was not prepared. So we went back to the drawing board, listened to our customers, and gave it some more thought. We looked at everything, re-evaluating even the most basic component of knitting, the needle, which had been in use for 150 years. We examined its strengths, its weaknesses, and reinvented it. We optimized the knitting machine by doubling the number of needle beds from 2 to 4. Enhanced our patented digital stitch control system. More importantly, we improved on our design system for easier to use programming software and 3D simulation capability. Now, the latest Mach 2 XS machine features our patented spring-type sinker system. It provides gentle hold-down of individual loops for increased capability while maintaining high quality. Especially important in whole garment knitting is its capability to provide better control during short row knitting, which enhances 3D shaping. After 20 years of innovation, the revolution has finally caught on. With whole garment, knitwear is no longer limited to standardized items, such as the typical sweater. Using 3D knitting, whole garment can produce items that are otherwise difficult or impossible to sew. Based on pattern data, drape and gather, as well as browsing effects can be produced easily. Even darts and pleats can be knitted in. Deeper, cleaner necklines not possible before can be knit. Inlay technique is possible, in which yarn is woven into a knit fabric. Airdrobe jackets and dresses are surprisingly light and comfortable, combining the softness and stretch of knits with the sophistication of weaves. Changing yarn during short row knitting produces intarsia-like designs without sacrificing productivity. Dimensional fabrics such as pin tuck and ottoman stitch are possible. 3D pants can be shaped to produce a natural bend at the knees. Whole garment knitting machines allow flexible production of a wide range of items. Besides Mach 2 XS, the compact SWG N2 series can produce smaller items such as gloves, socks, hats, scarves, neckties, bags, purses, and other knit accessories as well as children's wear. Whole garment is also ideal for non-fashion applications such as sports, medical, home furnishing, automotive, aerospace, and other industrial textiles. Using conductive yarn in 3D garments maximizes the potential for wearable technology. Unprecedented fit, second skin comfort, and uninterrupted silhouette set whole garment apart from all other textile products. And by using only the amount of yarn required to produce a single garment, whole garment is one of the most sustainable forms of textile production available. Whole garment is ideal knitwear for the 21st century, but we will not rest on our laurels. The revolution continues at Shima Seiki.
Well, thank you for sticking around and seeing the video on whole garments. If you've seen the video already, I apologize for re-showing you the video, but it's a great introductory video for those who aren't familiar with whole garments. But in any case, we received the yarns from Tricia. We wanted to know if it was compatible on our whole garment knitting machines before we even went into apparel testing. So what we did was we actually started off with some wash panels. Adriano, do you think you could share a little bit insight regarding these wash tests?
Yeah, let's say one of the characteristics of the TENCEL with the Indigo technology is that the Indigo is penetrating the whole fiber. It's not only in the surface like the traditional denim. So this one means that when we wash a panel or a garment, we need a technology that is updated for this. And we found out that the perfect machines are the laser and the ozone. Laser basically is, call it burning the indigo, and basically is creating the possibility to change the color of the indigo with a process that not using any water, any chemical, nothing. You just laser and you have basically the finished product. And the other thing is that goes in addition to the laser is the ozone. Ozone is basically oxidating the indigo and is fading down the color. All those processes in the past were done with chemicals, with abrasion, with manual work. Today, basically, we don't even touch the garment. And we have also a big advantage in terms of consistency, because you understand then you have a manual work. Every garment is different from the other. And the laser is basically computer generated. And so we are a guarantee a complete consistency of the process. So all these technologies, they fit perfectly to all the other things that we bring to the table. New technology in the fiber, new technology in making the garment, new technology in washing the garment. All this, honestly, is opening up an incredible opportunity for the brands and the designer, because We have just to be creative and use all what we can do with these processes.
Mhm. Yeah. And so yeah, after we achieved these wash tests and we were able to determine that these yarns were workable and compatible with our machines, there was no torquing, there's no breaking. That's when Adriano had appointed a knit designer for this project that helped with this design process. And I'd like to kind of briefly introduce on this next slide. So Adriano had introduced us to Aran Beck, and she's worked with Ralph Lauren in the past, Donna Karan, New York, and also collaborated with Victoria Bartlett of VPL, which you can see here. She's also recently worked on some hand knit projects for Tom Brown. She's also had a solo exhibit in Busan, Korea in 2019. As well as, you know, she features a lot of kind of wall canvas pieces. This one's called Passage, but truly a talented designer, and it was an honor to work with her. And so we'll just kind of go into the development process that we had working with Aran. So first off, Aran had sent over a few inspiration images that I guess she communicated with Adriano on, and we narrowed it down to these three kind of inspiration images. First one being a kind of a multi-cable turtleneck. The second one is more of a multi-structured crew neck pullover with a kind of a wider neck trim. And then lastly, they were kind of interested in this kind of open concept where we have more pointelle or breathable kind of structures. From there, she had sent over flat sketches to kind of figure out what type of style that we want to pursue. And then from there, we started to determine what types of structures that we'll actually need to test, because sometimes different structures in combination with one another reacts differently. Sometimes the recovery is different, shrinkage, whatnot. So we decided to test a bunch of different structures. For the first one, I think for the cable one, we tested 5 different structures. The multi-textured crew neck, we tested 4, and the last one we tested 3. From there, I took those the information and I relayed it over to our knit programmers or the technicians, which converted her ideas into a knit program. So this Apex 4 design system is capable of doing knit programs as well. But I'd also like to give you a heads up that it also takes on you know, knit virtual sampling and digitalization tools. Unfortunately, for this time, we really only focused on the knit program. And so what we did is we programmed the garments, plugged them into a USB, and inputted it into our Mach 2 XS knitting machine, which was briefly featured in the video earlier. So I'd like to reiterate, this whole garment machine has 4 needle beds. The 2 needle beds on the bottom will be knitting the front and back bodies. And then the 2 top needle beds will be there for transfer and wrapping purposes. And again, this whole garment knitting machine also features our patented slide needle technology, which is placed in the middle of the needle bed groove, which standardizes each loop length a lot more consistently, as well as it has a smaller outer diameter and a wider inner diameter that allows for a multi-gauge range. So what we did is, I think we tested with both our Mach 2 XS 8-gauge machine as well as our 15-gauge machine for these styles. And from there, I think the first thing we did was the structure development. The cable one turned out to be a little bit like this. And after we determined, hey, we really like these structures, we allocated it into different positions of the body and achieved our turtleneck prototype. This one was, I think, using 5 ends on our 8-gauge machine. Next was the multi-textured swatch development. This one we tested 4 different structures, like a bird eye, moving kind of rib kind of look, as well as a pointel open one. And this one turned out to be this piece right here that you see. We have ruffled sleeves on the edges, as well as ottoman stitches here and there for just more effects on these highs and lows, just to see how the wash effects would affect it. And lastly, the open stitch cardigan, we tested 3 structures here, which we positioned into this kind of front open cardigan here. And after we've completed the knit developments, we actually sent it over to Adriano and their team to begin the wash tests with you know, different partners. So here Adriano, do you think you could share some of the wash tests that we've tested?
Yeah. Let's say I have to say that the first test we not been successful. That let's say is making research is something that we are ready for. Means that we know that determination in a project is a very important thing. The fact that you are not successful the first time doesn't mean the project is not right. So basically we've been washing, first of all, in a kind of more traditional way. And it was hard to arrive to the effects that I had in as my goal. And at that point, we've been using the ozone in laser, and the thing changed completely. And because the 3-dimensional effect came out. And one comment that I have to make is also important for this segment, because who works in sweaters is not familiar with finishing processes, okay? So probably they get scared and they don't know what to do. The fact that we bring in technology is making the whole thing safer, because basically we have a formula. You know, it's not so much, it is only, but not so much about the personal expertise of the operator, but it's about having a technology that can be applied easy to samples and production. So this one is something that can get the confidence of who operates today in sweaters, because it's a very important process, the finishing, because this 3D effect is basically the key of the story. I have to say that because I really care about this project, I'm personally available eventually to help and give advices about the finishing. It is a service that honestly we could put together in terms to help our customers and in order to arrive to a good result.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot through this, and as Adriano said, you know, initially the trials didn't quite give the right results, but and that's where, with all the history that Adriano has in the Indigo from a woven standpoint, and knits kind of fall in between, because knitters haven't traditionally liked working with Indigo yarns. The woven side of the business doesn't really understand all the knits. So it kind of falls in that gray area, and that's where it really can come together with the experience that he brings.
Mm-hmm. And so I believe we tested ozone for most of our pieces, but but I think we do also have some potential applications down the line. I think we mentioned laser technology. I think we can give you an example of laser technology on a knitted garment.
Yeah, so this is about a minute, and it shows how the laser can remove the indigo pigment as it goes through. So how the laser works is that the pattern is programmed in, and then the laser will etch out and remove the indigo pigment. I think this shows a great example of creating that texture and creating the wash effect look. So, yeah, this is done in Hong Kong, as you can tell from the language. And this, again, just shows another application of taking something flat, but adding texture through the laser, versus what Adriano had done with having the texture and then doing the laser and ozone over it.
Yeah, that definitely opens up new avenues of finishing applications. We only really tested ozone to really achieve the 3D effects, but this laser opens up patterned designs and whatnot moving forward. I think the next slide is also a few examples of some laser.
Yeah, here's some other laser, and there's the whole sweater knit done with a laser, just to see.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but this time we really focused on the ozone, and so I just like to finalize the presentation by showcasing just before and after. The left side being that before image before we sent off to Tonello, I believe, and so you can see how the ozone treatment really took away the highs or the 3D kind of structure areas of the garment, and up close you could kind of see the effects a little bit better. For the multi-textured crew, here's the kind of before and after results. The after close up being a little bit more like this. I like how she actually wore it off the shoulder. I really like that. And then lastly, the open stitch cardigan. So this one was a little bit more porous. So we were expecting it to fade a little bit more, but it ended up okay. Yeah, these were the 3 pieces that we worked on with Adriano and Tricia, with Aran's help, the knitwear designer. And so, yeah, I just wanted to take this time to just thank you all for, involving us in this process. Again, I think this collaboration was super crucial for the development of this. Tricia, thank you so much for all the help that you did in providing the fibers and the yarn, whether it be retwisting the yarns and whatnot. That's more effective for flatbed knitting. The material is always going to be crucial for product development. It reduces a lot of the water pollution, the chemicals that's needed, and the fact that it's resource saving and it achieves the real wash effects. It also clears the rub fastness. These are issues that have not been cleared as far as indigo yarns go. So this is truly a game changer for flatbed knitters, and I'm sure there will be more applications moving forward. Secondly, the construction, manufacturing of the garments itself is also going to be important. That's where whole garment comes into play, being the most sustainable form of knitting a garment all in one piece from the yarn directly to the garment, reducing any cut loss or seam allowances. So just we only need the amount of yarn per garment. So that's also a crucial stage in making a sustainable garment. Lastly, House of Golden, Adriano's direction and guidance, his vision. This is what put this all together, and his expertise in the different finishing techniques that we've tested. We tested a lot, but we're able to come to a good kind of collection to showcase to the brands. again, I think this was a seed of joy. I think we hope that this seed is planted in these designers' minds, and hopefully we could see more applications moving forward, not only in apparel, but some more industries down the line as well. So,
definitely. I think the joy part was working together. We had a very good team. So I think the seed is the idea and the joy is the people part. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
No, there are two very important elements, you know, joy, because we hope that it's going to be a good time for us. And the seed is because in order to have fun and joy, we need the seed and we need to work.
Yes.
So thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you for the amazing partnership.
Yes, thank you all as well, and thank you for involving Shima Seiki in this project. We hope there's more projects down the line, and hope to continue inspiring designers, and one whole garment at a time. So
Exactly. Thank you very much.
thank you so much.
Bye.